The wind does not speak often, but when it does, the trees bow. The sky does not open easily, but when it does, light pours through and nothing remains the same. Something is stirring. For many months, people have felt it quietly, like a current beneath still water. No thunder, no drama, just a whisper that something significant is coming. That date, July 9th, 2025, it has been echoing, not shouted by crowds or written in stone, but spoken softly in hearts, in dreams, in the silence that follows prayer, not a prediction, not superstition, a calling. People ask, what will happen on that day? The answer is simple, you will. That day is not about fire falling from the sky or some cosmic spectacle. No, it is about something much more powerful, alignment. On July 9th, you will be given the opportunity to shift, to rise, to become the version of yourself you've been too afraid to meet. It will not be forced upon you. It will be offered like a hand stretched through the darkness. You may choose to ignore it. Most will. But for those who have been waiting, listening, preparing in silence, it will be a moment of awakening. Not because a miracle happens around you, but because a miracle awakens within you. This is the lesson. True transformation doesn't begin with the world changing. It begins when we finally believe it can. You may not remember this day in the usual sense. You may not mark it with celebration or ceremony, but years from now, when your life has become something you never thought possible, you will look back and realize that was the turning point. So I ask you, when the whisper comes, when your soul stirs, when something inside says, move, will you listen? When people hear that something big will happen on July 9th, 2025, many instinctively look outward. They scan headlines, watch the skies, listen for signs, waiting for the dramatic, a sudden miracle, a global shift, something undeniable. But the most profound events in life do not always come with fanfare. The most important transformations are often invisible to the eye, but unmistakable to the soul. What is coming on this day is not a spectacle to be witnessed, but a threshold to be crossed quietly within. There are times when the world distracts us with noise, and in that noise we forget to feel. But every so often a date appears, not because the universe demands attention, but because it offers an invitation. July 9th is not a date marked by destiny in the way people expect. There will be no trumpets in the sky, no fire raining down. Instead, it is a moment woven into time when something in the spiritual atmosphere softens, when the soul finds it easier to listen, to remember, to align. Those who are attuned to such shifts will feel it, not as a shock, but as a knowing. What makes this moment powerful is not its cosmic uniqueness, but its personal significance. The date itself holds no magic without your response to it, like a seed waiting for rain. What matters is not the soil alone, but whether you are ready to grow. July 9th will come like any other day for most people. They will drink their coffee, check their messages, carry on. But for those who have been quietly preparing, clearing the noise, listening in stillness, it will arrive like a doorway opening, not to another world, but to the deeper chambers of their own being. This is why it is not a prophecy in the traditional sense. Prophecies speak of what will happen. This is different. This is a promise of possibility, of what can happen if we are willing. It's a sacred appointment between you and your highest self, one that does not shout, but waits patiently for your recognition. You will not be forced to awaken. You will be invited to rise, and the moment you say yes, the date becomes holy. not because of what is happening in the sky, but because of what is beginning within. And so when you think of this day, do not watch the world, watch yourself. Ask, what has been trying to emerge in me that I have ignored? What voice have I silenced out of fear or doubt? July 9th is the moment when that voice becomes clearer, stronger, more insistent, not as a disruption, but as a calling home. The transformation is not in the world shifting. It is in you realizing you were made to shift it. The world often teaches us that awakening must be earned through hardship or bestowed by some higher force, as if only the chosen few are worthy of deeper truth. But the quiet truth is this: awakening is not reserved. It is not elite. It is not hidden behind a secret gate. It is available to anyone at any moment, especially to those who are simply willing to be still enough to feel it. What is coming on July 9th is not an elite experience for the spiritually advanced. It is a gentle, universal offering, not imposed, not forced, but freely given to anyone who is ready to say, I want to remember who I really am. This is why the moment is so sacred. It carries no demand, only invitation, no expectations, only presence. The power of the day is not in the date itself, but in your willingness to meet it. Think of it like a tuning fork sounding in the soul. If your heart is closed, you may not hear it. But if your spirit is open, even just a little, it will resonate through you, subtly but deeply, calling you into remembrance. And in that remembrance, you awaken, not by doing something grand, but by finally choosing to stop resisting who you've always been. We often mistake spiritual awakening for a dramatic change in life circumstances. But true awakening is when the lens through which we view life becomes clearer. It's not the storm ending. It's realizing the storm was never real. It's the shift from reacting to life to responding with intention. On July 9th, for those who are ready, this kind of clarity will come not in lightning strikes, but in soft, sacred silence, in a breath, a moment, a realization that everything you've been chasing outwardly has always existed inwardly. And yet, readiness is not perfection. You do not need to have healed every wound or silenced every doubt to receive what this day has to offer. You only need to be willing to pause, to ask deeper questions, to listen, not to the world, but to the whisper in your own being. That whisper may come as an intuition, a memory, a sudden clarity, or simply a feeling of enough pretending, enough fear, enough delay. In that surrender, the awakening begins, not because something new is added to you, but because everything false begins to fall away. What is offered on July 9th is not an achievement. It is a return, a personal reconnection to your essence. Some will feel it as an emotional wave, others as deep peace. Some may act upon it immediately. Others may carry it quietly for months until it unfolds in its time. But the opportunity is there for all. The awakening will not be denied to anyone who truly desires it. Not because they've proven themselves, but because the divine does not withhold truth. It only waits for us to be still enough to see it. Human beings are conditioned to look outward for answers. We wait for signs, validation, approval, or some unmistakable signal from the universe to tell us now is the time. We assume that until something changes around us, a new opportunity, a sudden breakthrough, a shift in our environment, we cannot move forward. But the great secret, often overlooked, is that the most powerful signal is not outside of us at all. It has always come from within. On July 9th, that inner voice will rise, not louder, but clearer, And for those willing to recognize it, it will become impossible to ignore. Too often, we delay change by waiting for the perfect moment. But the perfect moment rarely announces itself. It is not found in stars aligning or the right words from others. It is found the moment we realize we don't have to be anyone else or wait for anything else to begin becoming ourselves. The power we seek is not something we must go out and find. It is something we must finally stop denying. July 9th isn't the start of a new world. It is a mirror placed gently in front of us, asking, will you finally see who you truly are? This recognition doesn't come with grand fireworks or mystical visions. It comes in stillness, in honesty. You may wake up that day and feel a pull to speak your truth, to walk away from something false, or to take the first step toward something you've longed for. That pull will not be a coincidence. It is the internal engine of transformation igniting. Not because the day is magical, but because your awareness has reached a point where you no longer want to betray your own potential. Change begins there, not with the world, but with a decision made in silence. Every great shift in history, spiritual, personal, or global, began with one person recognizing their own inner power. They did not wait for certainty. They moved with trust. What is coming on July 9th is a soft convergence of energy, timing, and consciousness, making it easier than usual to remember that truth. But it's not the day that makes the change. It's you. The power you carry, the strength, the love, the clarity has always been there. It's simply been buried beneath layers of fear, distraction, and doubt. This is the moment to lift those layers. When we stop asking the world for permission to grow, we begin the real journey. July 9th will not hand you power like a gift. It will remind you that you are the gift. And the most sacred act you can make is not waiting, but responding to the quiet truth already within. When that response happens, the shift is irreversible. Not because the world has changed, but because you have, and in doing so, you'll never look at the world the same again. Every meaningful moment in life ultimately comes down to a choice. Not a loud, dramatic crossroads, but a quiet one, often unnoticed by others, but deeply felt within. July 9th, 2025 will be one such moment. It will present you with no command, no force, no obligation. Only a soft but unmistakable choice to remain within the familiar safety of your current life, or to step forward into the unknown territory of your true self. That choice may not look radical on the outside, but inside, that is the number R, it will feel like standing on the edge of a cliff, not because you are in danger, but because you're that close to flying. There is comfort in staying where you are. Even if it's painful, even if it's untrue, it is known. The mind tells you to remain, wait, plan more, gain approval. But your soul does not ask for approval. It asks for alignment. And when the soul is ready to move, it becomes harder to ignore the cost of staying small. On July 9th, something within you may ask, what would happen if I stopped hiding? What would happen if I actually said yes to what I feel called to do? That question is not rhetorical. It is an invitation. There is no shame in hesitation. Everyone hesitates when faced with transformation. But this particular moment is sacred because the choice will be unusually clear. You will feel what no longer fits. You will sense what is calling you. And between the two, you will stand, as all seekers do, on the narrow bridge between who you've been and who you're becoming. The world won't force your decision. That is the grace and the test. It will offer the stillness for you to hear the truth, but it will not carry you across. You must choose to take the step. And stepping forward doesn't mean knowing what comes next. It simply means trusting that the version of you on the other side of fear is wiser, stronger, and more real than the one who clings to comfort. That trust is the essence of transformation. It's not about fixing yourself or becoming perfect. It's about saying, I'm ready to stop living a life that doesn't fit my soul. On this day, that clarity will come not as pressure, but as freedom. The freedom to finally choose yourself without apology. The power of this day lies not in changing your circumstances overnight, but in choosing to align with the truth you've known deep down all along. You can turn away and keep walking the well-worn path, or you can turn inward, take a breath, and take the first honest step into the unknown. And though the path may not be fully lit, your courage will illuminate each step as you take it. The choice is not about what the world expects of you. It's about what your soul is quietly waiting for you to say yes to.